introduction about yourself, and then we'll get started with the questions.
Hi, so I'm David Gale. I was born in Washington State, moved to Utah when I was about 8. Lived there until I joined the military at age 24. My first station was out in Clarksville at Fort Campbell. Was there for 5.5 years with 2 deployments to Iraq. Decided the active duty was not for me. Went to reserves, went back to Utah for, 9-10 years. Decided that the reserves was where I was meant to be. It was a good place. I enjoyed it, so I went to full-time status with the reserves. Got moved to Las Vegas, stayed there for 3 years, got moved to here. I've been here for 4 years. I just retired in March, and I decided to let everything grow out. So that's in a nutshell. I'm married. I have 2 children, one 19, one is going to turn 17 in a couple weeks. 17-year-old still goes to Brighton High School, and getting 19-year-old kicked out to college here pretty soon.
How long you lived in Atoka?
The whole 4 years.
Okay. One thing I did forget, I gotta make a note to tell everybody else. So just so I hope you're understanding how this works, but whoever the board appoints tonight, the way to work is you'll be formally put on the board at our June 11th meeting. You will fill that position till the November election.
Yes.
Okay, and then if you choose to continue, you can always pull a thing to be on the ballot in the November election. But this is a position we're filling tonight is strictly from when we appoint you on June 11th till we get to whoever gets that.
Yes, understood.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. We're going to start over to my left with Alderman Chris Schaefer.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for coming tonight. First question is, why are you interested in serving on the board of mayor and aldermen?
Chris, is your name? Is your light on? There we go.
There we go. I'll repeat it. Why are you interested in serving on the board of mayor and aldermen?
I feel that the country in whole is headed in a negative direction, and I feel the best way to make a difference is starting with local. There's, like you said, people think you're crazy or think you're trying to line your pockets or whatever, but it doesn't matter. If I want to make a change, I feel like it's got to be started at the local level. I don't think going national is going to do any good.
Second question is, what are the most pressing issues, in your opinion, facing our community, and how would you address them?
That's a large question for 2 minutes.
Go for it.
So I haven't been very involved. I don't know a lot of what issues you're facing right now. I do know that as a citizen, one of my biggest concerns is the condition of some of the roads. And I know you're also facing a budget issue. And that's part of what Tuesday's meeting is gonna, or I guess what the main part of Tuesday's meeting is gonna be. I have no experience in this. Now, flat out admit that right up front, but I do have a good head on my shoulders, and I do look out for what helps the individual. And if I can find a way to help the individual residents, then that's what I'm gonna do, while staying within all the legal means.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Renfro.
Hi, thank you for coming. I'm Christy Renfro. My first question is, how do you plan to balance the interests of Atoka with the practical limitations of governance?
So again, like I said, I don't have much experience with this. It's gonna be a learning curve, and I really feel that protecting the individual's rights is going to be beneficial to everybody in the community. So regardless of what the issue is, looking at what is going to best take care of the individual citizen is what's the route that I would look at. It doesn't matter if it's voting in an election, it doesn't matter if it's road repair, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're doing something completely unacceptable, like for instance, I have no idea what it costs to repair a pothole, but if we're looking at $50 versus $100,000, you gotta look at the benefit to the cost in whatever it is, whether it's financial or moral or anything. You have to do what's going to make the most most sense and be most beneficial to the citizen.
Okay. And how would you balance the need for development and growth with maintaining the character of our community?
So I feel, especially I live over in the Blades Estates area, and I feel especially the Atoka Idaville Road and Mead Lake Road intersection, and the bridge right there, that's a huge construction area. And I feel that any development that would adversely affect that or increase the traffic flow there would be problematic, because I understand that there's been attempts to widen that bridge in the past, and it's been a fight between the state and the railroad and everything else. So there are limitations there, and I think the first priority needs to be to take care of the current citizens that live here. And secondary would be development and growth. And development and growth, I see no problem with that happening as long as it happens outside of that area to keep that area as minimally impacted as possible.
Okay, thank you.
We do share your concerns about that bridge and that intersection, very much so, very much so.
I do love the new roundabout that's on the other end of the road. It
Yeah.
helped a lot over there.
Yeah. We're putting another one in,
Where at?
right here at Main Street and Mumford Atoka.
Okay.
Yeah, it's our next choke point, if you will. So, we're gonna start over here to my right, and Alderman Cody Pace.
Thank you for coming tonight. As the Mayor said, my name is Cody Pace. I do want to thank you first off, because this is a huge thing and it's very hard to do. I know myself and Alderman Renfro sat in that seat as well, answering these questions, so it's very trying sometimes. Going into this first question though, what are your primary goals and objectives if you're appointed on this board?
I don't know if I have a specific primary goal or objective. As far as any agenda being taken care of, my number one goal is to make sure that I do what I feel is best for each individual citizen of the town.
And kind of piggybacking with that a little bit, what do you feel is the short-term and at the same time long-term goals for this board and the community? And how would you plan to achieve that?
So I have no idea what your goals are, but I would hope that my goal of helping the city or the town do what it needs to do to take care of its citizens and its infrastructure and be a transparent organization, I feel that that's my goal, and both short and long term, it doesn't matter what's going on, that's just where I am. And I just hope that would blend in with whatever the board is doing as a goal. And as far as the projects or anything else, I don't think it matters, just those same guidelines apply.
Anything else, Alderman Pace?
You bet.
All right, we have to my right again, Alderman John Harper.
Good evening. Again, as the board says, thank you for sitting in the hot seat. How would you handle disagreements or conflicts with maybe one of your fellow board members, or maybe if you had a conflict with a citizen?
I feel that conflict can be healthy. Obviously not to the point of a loud shout out, drag out fight, but I kind of feel if there's not some conflict, then you're not doing your job. If you're trying to appease everyone, make everyone happy, then you're not looking out for what the best situation is for the town. You're looking at how do I keep everyone happy and off my back, which I don't think is the right way to run things. You're gonna have people mad at you, and that's just life. I spent 20 years in the military, and I constantly had people very angry with me because I knew what the right thing was, I knew what the rules and regulations were, and I said, this is what we're gonna do. And they, well, this is so much easier, this is fast. I don't care. This is the right way, that's the way it's gonna be done. And that's the same attitude I bring towards this. Now, as far as interpersonal conflict, I've been told that I'm A, very likable, and B, very abrasive. So I get along well with people, but I also will stand my ground and let you know if I think what we're doing is wrong.
Maybe it's a facial hair.
Yeah. Well, I was abrasive before the facial hair.
Can you give me an example of when you had to stand up for what you believed was right, even when that decision was unpopular?
Oh, okay, so one of my most recent responsibilities in the military was I was in charge of driver's training for the unit. When I got here, I was not in charge of it. The person who was reassigned to another place up in Kentucky. And when he left, the responsibility fell on me to take care of that. We have very specific rules on how we conduct driver's training, and we document everything to make sure that everyone's trained accordingly, correctly, and that we can operate the equipment as safely as possible. When I took control of that, I went through all the paperwork and found everybody was missing paperwork. So out of a unit of 112 soldiers, whose job, we are a transportation company, our job is to move 7,000 gallon tankers of fuel. I found 6 individuals that had complete packets that were legally licensed. Everyone else had revoked their licenses. And I caught a ton of grief for that. My higher command was like, what are you doing? No, we have to run these missions, we have to do this. I said, that's fine, run them. We're gonna run them with 6 people. And if you don't like it, send us the personnel we need so we can get the other people trained and documented correctly so we can make sure things are done safe. Unfortunately, that hindered that unit's progress for 2 years because they wanted to spend the first year fighting with me over the rules and regulations and how to get around them. When it was a very simple statement, they will have this paperwork. If it's not in there, they don't drive. Through that, we were actually able to get active duty Army training command to step in and come and assist and get our stuff taken care of. So that was a very hard fight because I had a general telling me, let them drive. And I showed them regulations and the paperwork and said, sir, no, this is the way it is. Like, you don't get to just tell us we have to do it.
Thank you.
All right, sir. So we've got, let me turn that on. All right, so we've got attending virtually, because he is doing some military service. We've got Alderman Brett Giannini, and Brett, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Mr. Gale. I want to first say thanks for offering to serve, and no matter how tonight goes, I hope you'll consider running in November, or at least, offer yourself to the mayor for a committee assignment. Kind of brings me to my first question. Have you made a decision on whether you're going to run for one of the offices in November?
I have not. I figured this was an excellent chance to feel it out and see how it is. And we're looking at 6 months? So it'd be a good chance to get my feet wet and see, A, if I'm a fit for both the town and the team and the board, or if I'm even just a fit for this type of environment at all.
Great, thank you, sir. And my next question is, how will you respond, or what will your actions be to a constituent who confronts you or asks you about an issue with a city service?
Well, it would depend on how the confrontation goes, I'm sure. But I've had to deal with a lot of conflict I'm sure you've had in the military with other personnel. I was in E7, I was in charge of platoons, and there was a time I was leading the entire unit. I had to deal with conflict all the time. The best way is to de-escalate, answer the questions as best you can. Be honest with them. If you don't know the answer, tell them I don't know, I'll get back with you. Take their information, and if they start getting belligerent or aggressive, just walk away.
Okay, and maybe that was my fault for using the word confront. Just meant if a citizen contacts you and say, hey, I've got a problem with a ditch or a pothole,
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you would handle that?
I'd take the information that they're giving me and ask questions about what the issues are and where it's at and everything. And then I contact city services, say, hey, this was just reported to me, are you guys aware of this? Can you get this taken care of? Unless there's some other policy that prevents me from doing something like that. That's how I'd probably go around doing it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you answering my questions, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, I believe his mic is died. So, we'll just wait.
Here, switch this one out. Yeah, we can keep moving with.
I have 30 right here.
We'll just hit the green button. We're ready to go with that. We'll take it.
Mr. Gale, I didn't say, you got some nice
Just quite
fine artesian water in front of you. Feel free. Because I know we're going to, I know I am. All right, I guess that leaves myself. So, you mentioned it in your opening, and as you are probably aware, we have been in for several months, trying to come up with a budget for the town. So, my first question has to do with budgeting. And this will be a very relevant question for you. So, some background. Last year, the town had over $700,000 of unexpected infrastructure repairs. This year, we're also looking at over $700,000 in infrastructure. We had a bridge that is in very bad need of being repaired and replaced. We've got culverts failing, so forth and so on. Considering that, like everything else, all the costs to the town have increased, that we need more staff in almost all of our departments to adequately provide needed town services. And that we have to always be aware, and we are competing with other municipalities when it comes to our employees. And that has to do with not only recruitment of those employees, but retention of those employees. Again, the infrastructure is only gonna get older and gonna have stress put upon it. So with all that stuff, kind of give you a little feel for what we're looking at and what we go through. Considering all those things, how would you go about in approaching the creation of a budget for the town? And what would you do if it was determined that the town's revenue was going to fall short of needed funds?
That is a very loaded question.
It's a real life question.
I know. I feel like I would need a lot of information to make a good, solid decision. I think the infrastructure is probably one of the biggest issues facing the town as far as financials go. I do know, as I've seen some of the roads, not only here in Atoka, but throughout Tipton and Shelby County, they don't seem as though they're built very well to begin with. I've never seen a place that develops potholes so easily and so quickly. I feel that maybe there's a more quality method that could be used to build and repair roads. And maybe if they're done better in the first place, they would last longer and be cheaper to maintain in the long run. I would not be adverse to spending more upfront to save more in the long run. And that's just one of the options I would look at. I know it'd be vastly more expensive to rip out an existing road and relay the foundation of the road and redo the road than it would be just to patch it or fix a section. And that just makes sense to me. But I also I wouldn't shy away from it if there was a better way to make it last longer and be more fiscally responsible for the residents.
Okay.
With that being said, you also have to work with what you have. So I don't know how I'd handle that at the moment.
Well, maybe I'll restate it in a little this way. What kind of budgeting experience do you have?
Not a whole lot other than personal finances. I will tell you I'm debt-free other than my house.
Okay. All right. And my second question probably kind of goes with what Alderman Giannini asked, and it'll give you a little more insight into the town and how it functions. Our charter actually states that the town administrator is responsible for day-to-day administration of the town, including employee management and operations. So how would you, as an alderman, handle a situation where a town employee approached you directly with a concern or an issue?
Well, first I'd have to know what the town's policies are on that sort of thing. But from a personal standpoint, I'd listen to the concerns and I'd bring it to the board.
Okay.
Because my understanding is we are the supervisory panel over all the employees of the town.
Okay. All right. I believe that finishes the questions. Do you have any questions for us that we haven't gone over as far as the process and the overview?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, if not, as has been said many, many times, thank you for putting your name in. It speaks a lot about you that you would even be willing to devote time out of your personal life and your schedule in public service for the town. And it's very much appreciated. And like Alderman Giannini said, I'm gonna keep your name. Let's say that you don't get appointed, but if you want to continue and do some type of involvement, I'll reach out and give you a holler.
By all means.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, board, we'll give this time. We've got 10 minutes, so
Next candidate is here, Mayor.
you can add your scores up or take this time to get your thoughts in order.
Change yourself. That's what you said earlier.
If we add it up, y'all are gonna check our addition anyway, right?
Please?
Okay. Because I'm trying, but I might just misadd something here.
I think there's a little calculator at the end of the calculator.
Well, I've got one on my phone too, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that a big question to ask?
Are we gonna keep the door open? I mean, are the other candidates, they can't hear what's being answered, right? Because,
There's a beer up in the admin office.
okay, good. I wanna make sure, yeah.
We stationed up there in that bullpen area.
Okay. Just turn the air conditioner off so it gets real hot up there in the sun. No,
Make me sweat and.
maybe sweat. Who's gonna be the next, person? Mr.
Jesse Gould.
Okay. I don't know how J-E-S is that?
It is J-E-S-S-I.
So Brett, I don't know if you heard, you with me? Can you hear me,
Yes, sir.
Brett? So,
I can.
yeah, you can, hold your sheets and then at the end, if you wanna like, I guess, take pictures and send it to Mark or however you wanna get it to him, right?
Just send me the first one.
Okay, all right, good, all right, we're good. We'll give them 2 more minutes and then we'll start at 6:40 instead of 6:45, okay?
Yes, sir. I got extra No, the one.
Any comments, anything we need to change?
new that you put in
The one thing that we can't change now is it's difficult because we don't ask the availability for them.
So
Mhm.
telling me.
It's hard to kind of judge that aspect.
Yeah,
I'm gonna assume that if they're applying.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Cody, I missed
I kinda-
that, man. Can you say it again?
yeah,
Yeah, sorry about that. The one thing I'm saying is, we don't really ask on the availability. What Christy just said is she's, just, kind of the same way of, if they're putting the interest in, they're gonna be available, but we don't explicitly ask about availability here.
so we're referring to that last category? Yeah,
Commitment availability.
okay.
I believe we have an ordinance or something in the charter says if you miss 5 meetings, unexcused, I guess you're off the board, but
Yeah,
Is there 5 meetings in between now and November?
I doubt it.
Hey, I'll tell y'all, I like the questions. I think that's a good,
Yeah.
a good wide range of, stuff.
Well, they really are cohesive with each other too.
Yeah.
Without even planning that, I think all of
I
us are
think
kind
it
of
was
cohesive.
yours, one of yours. I originally was gonna have that as my second question.
Take it from
Well, no, I just decided on this one instead, and it was good, because I wanted to know that. So, all right, let's go ahead with candidate number 2.
So we hold on these very.
If y'all wanna hold yours, I don't care. Yeah, we can hold on to them, because you might wanna go back and.
Right.
I guess.
That's why you do the numbers in pencil.
Yeah. You got a mint or something?
Put my mouth down. No, I went to the doctor.
The doctor?
I hope you got a shot. All right, Mr. Poole, is it? Have a seat right there, sir. Well, Mr. Poole, my name is Barry Aiken. I'm the mayor of the town of Atoka. I think we've met each other once or twice in the past. Wanted to just go over some overviews, some guidelines for tonight. We put all the candidates that said they wanted to be interviewed, we put them into a random number generator, and that's how the order came out. So you're number 2 for this evening. As we tell all of candidates, and as you know, we are very much appreciative of you willing to take time out of your personal life, not only to be interviewed, but to possibly serve public service with the town. That says a lot of you. I know that's been a big part of a lot of your life. We are going to be asking 2 questions apiece, including Alderman Giannini, which is with us virtual. And we're going to try to keep it fairly where we're not here till midnight. We're going to try to limit you to 2 minutes per question per answer. Miss Debbie will hold up a yellow folder. You want to demonstrate, Miss Deb? And it's 15 seconds. And then you'll hear a little beep if you go all the way to the end of the 2-minute time. So, of course, we are not singling you out as far as all questions that you will be asked tonight will be asked of all of the candidates, the same questions as far as that. After we've talked to everybody, we're gonna score our sheets, and you are welcome. We'll then bring everybody back in. You're welcome to stick around until that last person is finished. If you want to go home, we will notify you regardless of the outcome. Has absolutely no bearing on your score, whether you stay or go home. You'll notice us looking down. We've got some paper in front of us. We'll take notes. We'll make probably some notes on your answers just to help us when it comes time to score you. So please don't let that be of concern. And just in case you're not aware, so let's say you are the person tonight with the highest score by the board, you will be officially appointed at the June 11th meeting to actually sit with us, and at the end of that meeting, I think it's new business, and then you can fill that position until November. And if you choose to actually pull a ballot or whatever,
Petition.
it's been a while, a whole year and a half for me. But if you pull a packet, a petition, then of course you would be running in the November election. But this appointment for tonight is from now, the June 11th meeting until the November election. You got some water there in front of you, feel free. Everybody up here will be partaking of it. And with that said, if you'd like to give a short introduction, and then we'll get started with the questions.
Jesse Poole, live here at Atoka, 566 Main, married, children, grandchildren. Former chief of police, 24 years plus. Little side note, been a little less than 28 years ago was the last time I sat in front of this board, the mayor and aldermen, in an interview for the chief of police job. So, I have sat out here many years, and I'd always wanted to further by setting up there, and helping progress with the city, see the city going further.
Okay, all right, well, Mr. Poole, we will start to my right with Alderman Pace with the first two questions.
Chief, good to see you, sir. Saw you, seen you at the last meeting. I do want to commend you right now on the interest in this position. I know how hard it is to sit through this between myself and Alderman Renfro. We've sat through one of these before, and it can be a little taxing on the mind on some of these questions. So I do want to commend you on that. Leading into that, though, my first question for you would be, what are your primary goals and objectives if you were appointed?
Primary goal objective is to help make good choices for the citizens in the town. We have an infrastructure problem, and I want to be part of that going forward. I've seen that over the years. Our growth has been astronomical, and I see the growth continuing, and I'd like to be a part of the solution of that and being a part of that decision making.
Thank you for that. Second question here. What are your short-term and long-term goals for the board and the community, and how would you plan to achieve those?
Short-term and long-term is, after the first meeting, is look, I'm familiar with budgets, and you will have that passed before I take that, before whoever takes the seat, is interact with the board, with each board member, while we're here, and citizens, talk with some citizens. They're what we're here for, the citizens. That's why we're all here, or you're there. And that would be some of the goals.
Thank you for that.
All right. Alderman Harper.
Mayor, it's good to see you.
Thanks, sir.
How would you handle disagreements or conflicts if you had a disagreement with one of your fellow board members or possibly one of our citizens in the community?
Conflict with a citizen, if it's over services or something going on in the city, that's what we have a town manager for. And we have staff, there's places to concerns with the town website. It's with another alderman, alderperson, excuse me.
That's okay.
I believe everyone's entitled to their opinion. I firmly believe that. If you ask somebody their opinion and someone disagrees with you, you should not take that personally. That is their right, and we should respect that.
Thank you. Can you give me an example of a time when you had to stand up for something that you felt was right, even when that decision was unpopular?
Yes, it would be budget process. Knowing that we had to cut some things and I disagreed with it, but I still had to do it for the betterment of the town and the budget. That was probably some of the biggest challenges.
Okay.
Budget.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman Harper. All right. Mr. Poole, I will ask my questions. You mentioned budget. As you know, we have been for several months now and are currently trying to get our budget passed for fiscal year 2025. Going to try to give you some very real, very relevant budget facts, and then ask you how you would kind of take all this into consideration. So last year the town had over $700,000 in unexpected infrastructure repairs. This year we're also looking at over $700,000 in infrastructure repairs or replacement of. As you know, like everything else, the town, all costs to the town have increased. When it comes to staff, almost all of our departments could use some more staff to adequately provide needed town services. When it comes to employees and staff, you're always having to compete with other municipalities that I'm sure you can identify with. That involves not only recruiting somebody new to the town, but retaining somebody to the town. Again, the Atoka infrastructure is only going to continue to age and have stress put upon it. So with all those things to consider, how would you approach the creation of the budget for the town? And what would you do if it was determined that the town's revenue was going to fall short of the needed budget amount?
First of all, I did look at your budget, and it looks like your budget for this fiscal year coming up, you have balanced it within, I think it was $14 or $15. That I did notice. I think we'd have to take every line item, every department, and you would have to go through it. As we all know, there's wants and there's needs. And I think you'd have, the needs, you have no options. The wants, I think you'd have to look at those and prioritize those.
Okay. All right. A second question. Our town charter states that the town administrator is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the town, including the employee management and operations. So how would you as an alderman handle a situation where a town employee approached you directly with a concern or an issue?
I would direct that individual, if he had an issue, to go to his department head, his direct supervisor, and or go to the town manager if it was not settled there. There's a chain of command, as I call it,
Yes, sir.
and that should be utilized. And if it's egregious, he can always go, or she could always go to the next level. I believe that would be in the town handbook, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you very much, Chief. That concludes my questions. We're going to go to Alderman Giannini, which is attending virtually tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Chief. Good to see you again, sir.
Good evening, sir.
All right. Thank you again for offering to this seat, and no matter what happens tonight, I hope you'll consider running in November for one of the seats, and at least, offer yourself up to the mayor to serve on a committee or something. But having said that, have you decided if you're going to run in November for one of the seats?
No, sir, I haven't made that decision just yet. No, sir.
All right, thank you. And my second question is, how will you respond to a citizen, or what will your actions be to a citizen who contacts you about city service?
I would direct them to the online concern or the sound manager, is what I would do. That would be in their purview. That's their staff's function.
Right, thank you for answering my questions, Chief. Take care. Good luck.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Chief. The water right there if you need it.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Alderman Christie Renfro's next. Go ahead, Ms. Christie.
Hi, Chief, how are you?
All right, ma'am, thank you.
Good. How do you plan to balance the interests of Atoka with the practical limitations of governance?
I think we're up here for the citizens, for the people, by the people. I firmly believe in that. And I think it's a delicate balance. And I think that you've got to balance that with what you've got in front of you. It's just a tough decision to make. And I've sat in these meetings where it wasn't very popular to make the decisions you made, but you make them to the best interest of the community. And sometimes that takes explaining. I think sometimes, I'll lay this out there, sometimes maybe we don't do a good job of educating folks sometimes on what's needed and how it works. That's would be my answer to that, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And how would you balance the need for development and growth with maintaining the character of our community?
I said I believe you made that that next step with two things. One, the industrial board, I think it is, you call it, you've done that, and then that's starting to take shape. Second thing of is one of your employees, you just made economic, it was Amanda Farbo. I was in the meeting to help solicit businesses, and I think that's been probably long overdue for our community our size, is to help bring in that. But then again, that also comes with our infrastructure too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Schaefer.
Hey, Chief.
Yes,
Just want to
sir.
say thank you for showing interest in this, and thank you for coming out tonight to speak with us.
Thanks, sir.
My first question is, why are you interested in serving on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen?
As you know, I've been community-oriented for many years, and I believe that with sitting in those last few board meetings, some of the obstacles that are going to be coming about is making those informed decisions and choices. And I believe that having some knowledge of government workings, that I could benefit the community and the board and the town. And that's, I just firmly believe in community involvement.
Thank you. My second question is, what are the most pressing issues facing our community, and how would you address them?
Probably the infrastructure, traffic's an issue. And I know that the roundabout at the three-way is hopefully coming. But when you ride around, you see some of the roads. I know that you're working on those with money-wise. Culverts and bridges, that's a big issue. Those are gonna come to bite. And they're not gonna be cheap. And unfortunately, the longer it's put off, the more expensive it's gonna get. And where to find the money is gonna become a greater issue. And I believe those are the priorities right now. If the economic businesses come in and we control the growth, I think that can be offset. We got growing too fast in the 2000s, and we outgrew our services dramatically, and I think some of that's where we've gotten now that we're paying for it, was some of what's going on with the bridges, the culverts. Traffic is, there's gotta be a way to get Walker Parkway all the way through to 51. I don't know how, but there's gotta be a way, there's gotta be some relief. I mean, you sit down here at the three-way, it's scary. It's backed up all the way around. And school's not even in right now.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Well, all right, Chief, that finishes all of our questions. If you have a question for us about the process or anything I didn't go over, now's the time.
I believe you explained it very detailed, Mayor, and I appreciate the opportunity from all of you to be here tonight. On that.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much. And again, thanks for putting your name in and being willing to serve.
Thanks, sir.
All right, brother. Just a reminder, I'll try to catch, be sure to use your microphone. So when are we, it's 7:15?
Yes.
Wow.
If I see him come into the room early, we can get started early if you're ready.
Who's gonna be our next one?
Chauffeur's next.
Mr.
Stephen
Schultz.
Schaefer.
How are we gonna do, since he's,
I'll take another one, Miss Leslie, that'd be great, thank you.
since he's attending virtually,
Yes, please.
how are we gonna let him know when his time's running out?
Actually, we were on camera, we can, he should be able to see
I'll
us
try
in
to-
the shot.
If he seems like he's still
You're
going,
currently
I'll,
not on camera, but I'm assuming you can't see right now. Let's see if we.
Yeah, so, on the candidate camera,
Okay.
upper left-hand corner, I don't know if y'all have seen it,
Okay.
but Debbie and I are in the shot.
In the
So
shot.
Okay.
We're sitting here very stone-faced.
right.
Yes, please.
I'm good right now, thank you, sir. Mr. Infrastructure.
I'm good, thank you.
Making my float.
Amanda, sir.
Yeah, I got it.
He come up with it. Are we still, y'all good? Are y'all still grading? Everybody good?
Good.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, Brett. So Mark, is he gonna be ready, like, let's say at 5 after?
Who?
Mr. Shelton?
As soon as I see him come in the waiting room.
Okay, he's not there yet.
He's not there yet.
Okay,
And when I see him, I'll ask if y'all are ready, and
okay,
and then, we can let him go.
that's good. So am I supposed to look over here?
Yeah, he'll be on that camera.
Okay.
This camera here to address him.
It's gone. Y'all are welcome to have some.
Try not to smack him there.
I saw April go get candy just a minute ago and didn't offer
April
up
is
here.
the candy lady.
I can bring you some, I got a little thing.
I'm good. Thank you. I think I would probably smack some, all that stain. Now, if you had a mint, John, he didn't bring you those mints from your church, did you?
Those are good men.
I loved it when I just walked in there and that bowl was sitting right there when you walked in.
Sorry, no mints.
No mints.
Pop rocks.
Man, that dates me. Uh-oh, I heard a beep.
He's in the waiting room, so if the board is ready, if Alderman Channing is ready, we could start.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, that sounds good.
Start him up.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let him in.
Could you put that on like speaker view? So that he'll be on the whole screen?
Yeah.
Kurt, there you go.
He should be able to hear you, I think.
Mr. Shelton, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir, I can, Mayor.
Okay. All right, well, gonna go over, just kind of an overview of what you can expect tonight. And, we took all the names of people that, submitted themselves for an interview. We put them actually on a random number generator, and you came up, you were number 3 this evening. Totally random. I want to thank you for putting your name in and taking time out of your life to devote to public service. As you know, or maybe you don't know, you'll be accused of everything from being ignorant to lining your pockets for your own financial betterment. So it's a thankless job most of the time. But again, thank you very much for being willing to be interviewed for this. We're going to all ask each person here tonight, including Alderman Giannini, which is virtual like yourself, we're going to ask 2 questions apiece. We're going to try to limit you to 2 minutes per answer, and you are being asked the same questions that every other candidate's going to be asked. There's nothing being pulled out special just for you. All candidates get the same questions. If the time starts running down, I will kind of give you a notice. Miss Deb's going to hold up a yellow folder when you got about 15 seconds left. But if you can't see her, I'll also kind of say, hey, you need to start winding it down. And then we actually have a timer that'll go off after 2 minutes. We are going to be looking down, making notes. Please do not let that concern you. That is just as we're going and kind of evaluating your answers. You might notice us looking down, and don't take any notice with that. I think you're aware, but just to make sure, the position that we feel, so the person tonight that gets the highest point score will be officially placed on the board at the end of the June 11th meeting, and your position will run from June 11th, from that night you were appointed, until the November election. And then if you determine that you would like to put your name in to run again, to run for the position, then that would be required of you to do that. I would say that you have some water in front of you, but hopefully you've got some in your hotel room there. Maybe you don't need it. That's all good. And so, with that being said, if you would give us a short introduction about yourself, and then we'll get started with the questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to you and the board for allowing me the opportunity to interview with y'all today. And I also want to say, again, thank you for working with me as I'm traveling. I did have intentions to be there. However, I had an opportunity that came up for work. And just like Alderman Giannini, I ended up getting placed on some military orders. And so I'm working from D.C. currently. But I just wanted to say thank you for that. So many of you have known me throughout the years. Again, my name is Stephen Schofer. I have served as a county commissioner for District 4, which when I served for it was for the greater Atoka area. I did that for 4 years for one term. I've also served on the planning commission for the town and currently on the Board of Zoning Appeals for the town. I've also been involved in several issues as far as state legislation goes, and worked with the state of Tennessee with the Administrative Office of the Court, the Tennessee Supreme Court, and I've even done work recently with and at the U.S. Capitol with Senate and House of Representatives. I've been on multiple boards for nonprofits, as I stated in my letter, throughout the years, and trying to help agencies kind of grow and establish themselves. And so I firmly do believe, out of those you are interviewing, I don't know the other candidates too well, I don't believe, but out of those, I don't believe anyone else is going to bring the experience that I've been with the table, that I also bring to the table, as well as someone who is, if I'm not present at meetings for the past 10 years, I've been able to watch them digitally and keep up. So I'm very informed of what the town's doing and where you're at, and I've also been involved with the town comprehensive and strategic planning process as far as that is concerned. So I really do feel like I can step into the seat, pick right up, and we can continue working and moving forward. So if there's nothing else, I'll just get to the questions, I guess. And thank you again.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We're going to start with Alderman Renfro tonight.
Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Got your mic on?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. How do you plan to balance the interests of Atoka with the practical limitations of governance?
Oh, well, that's, in my eyes, honestly, it's a pretty easy platform to stand on. I mean, everything that we do is for the betterment of our citizens. And so there are times when you have to make negotiations and deals. There are times when you can't support certain projects, and so you have to work on how to prioritize certain things, even departments, as far as prioritizing them over one another. But I really do feel like it's also fit to talk to those agencies and just kind of let them know where they are in your priority rankings and what you think is fit, again, for the betterment of the town and the community. And then also asking public opinion on what they want to see and what they feel is important as well.
Thank you. And my second
Yes, ma'am.
question is, how would you balance the need for development and growth with maintaining the character of our community?
Well, I think we have to start back to what the mayor said when he ran for office 2 years ago. Is, currently Atoka is in an identity crisis, and so we have to figure that point out. Again, if we want to be a veteran community, then let's be the best veteran community that we can in the state of Tennessee. If we want to be an urban community, let's be the best urban community that we can in the state of Tennessee. If we want to be a mixture of both things, then let's do the best job that we can for that. But at some point in time, the town of Atoka, we need to put our foot on the gas pedal a little bit more, in my opinion, and we need to start moving more. I know that there's plenty of plans that we've been in over the past few months and years, and I think it's time for us really to start nailing those down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next person this evening, our next board member will be Alderman Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Stephen. Thank you.
Evening, John.
Yeah, thank you for your willingness to step up into the hot seat.
Thank you.
How would you handle any disagreements or conflicts with a fellow board member, or maybe a potential conflict with a member of the community?
Well, I think you do it with morals and ethics, first and foremost, and then you show respect. I mean, I feel like that's the only way that you can do it. But we're not always going to disagree, or we're always going to disagree, and we're always not going to agree either, right? So you have to learn to have those conversations with one another, and that's really where just open lines of communication is the way to do it. Again, you present and debate your side of the story and how you see things, and why you're willing to vote certain issues and topics, and how you feel the way you feel, and then respect those opinions of others.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Can you provide an example of a time that you had to stand up for something that you believed was right, even when that decision was unpopular?
Yes, sir. I think that would be my entire county commission experience, to be honest with you. So, I mean, there are numerous times I do think that that's a trait. If I do firmly believe in certain things and certain aspects, and I've talked to community members, and this is what they want, well then, by golly, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stand up on it. I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to, I'll vote no if I need to vote no. I have no problem being on an island and standing up for things that I believe in, and that I think are important. So I think one of the biggest ones that stands out is County Executive Huffman had brought a piece of legislation or a piece of property to the public welfare or the general welfare committee, which I was on for the county commission, and that property wasn't owned by the county; it was still owned by a private individual. And the county was in the deals to close on it on a Friday. However, this is a Monday morning meeting, Monday afternoon meeting. So we had the meeting, and they wanted to rezone the property. And I just adamantly stood up and said no. In fact, I was the only one that was standing up and saying no at the time, because the county didn't own it, and that the person who owned it at the time wasn't even present for the meeting and didn't request for the rezone. I felt like that was a very drastic and dangerous approach for local government to rezone a piece of property that, again, that they didn't own and that the owner at the time hadn't even requested. So we ended up tabling that. And then later, after listening to all the citizens who came to the meeting, they didn't want that property rezoned to that. I was the only county commissioner who listened to those people. They weren't even in my district, and voted no on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Alderman Giannini.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. How you doing, Mr. Chauffeur?
I'm doing all right, man. If I didn't have to travel.
Good.
How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm fine, thanks. First, I want to thank you for your putting yourself up for this seat and also the other boards and the way that you have served Atoka in the past. Kind of leads me to my next question, or my first question, rather. Do you plan on running in November for one of the seats?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
Good deal. Short and sweet, all right. And my second question is, how are you going to handle, or what will you say to a citizen who asks you about needing a service from the city?
Well, again, I think that's open lines of communication and just being open and honest with them. You know, that's one of the things that I said when I worked in the court system as a county commissioner, and still to this day even say, is that it might not be what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you the truth about it. You know, and if it's something that the town can do to help out, then, you know, I firmly believe that we'll help out. If it's something that we're not able to, then I will go through the steps and explain the process to them of why we're not able to do that. But like I said, anytime we're able to help, you know, I reflect back to what my grandfather once told me when I was little. You know, if you have the means and the ability, then you have the responsibility. So there are times that we can, that maybe we can't do things as a government entity, but maybe we can do things privately or set up through other organizations that can help out. And if that's possible, then that's what I firmly believe that we'll do.
All right, thank you. That concludes my questions. I appreciate you answering them.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I believe Alderman Schaefer is next.
Hey, Mr. Shelford, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Just want to say thanks for your interest in this seat, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us tonight. My first question is, why are you interested in serving on the board of mayor and aldermen?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I've always been interested in government and politics my entire life. Like I said, I think even going back to the first opportunity why I expressed interest in it was actually in 2016. Started digging and finding information out, and then ended up running for office in 2018. And so I just, I don't know, it's just kind of one of those things that I feel important. And like I was telling Alderman Giannini, you know, if you have the means and the ability, then you have the responsibility to do it. And I feel like I have the means and the ability to do so. You know, it's one of those things too that I take pride in, being a member, you know, being a deacon in my church. And again, you know, that term and why I hold that so important to me is because deacon is to serve, and that's what you are. You're there to serve people of your church. And so I firmly believe that I can serve the members of our community well.
Thank you. My second question is, in your opinion, what are the most pressing issues facing our community, and how would you address them?
Infrastructure. It's infrastructure. I mean, just that is infrastructure. And so I think we've got a solid plan in our comprehensive plan. I think we've got in our strategic plan, and I think we just need to again put that pedal down on the gas and let's start solving some issues and start moving forward on it. That's really what it boils down to. I firmly believe once we can fix that infrastructure and better get that under hand and control, then we're going to be in a better seated position than we are today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Schofer, I believe I'm the last one. As you know, we have, for several months, we have been working on creating a budget for our fiscal year 2025. And my question, first question has to do with budget experience. So Last year, the town had over $700,000 of unexpected infrastructure repairs. This year, we're also looking at another over $700,000 of infrastructure repairs and replacement. So, considering that, and like everything else, all of our costs to the town have risen. When it comes to staffing, almost all departments would need more staff to provide adequate town services. And of course, you have to remember when you're talking about employees and staff, we are competing with other municipalities around us. And that involves not only the recruitment of employees, but retaining and the retention of our employees. And as you said, the infrastructure is only going to continue to age and have stress put upon it. With all that being said, how would you go about creating the budget for the town, and what would you do if it was determined that town revenue was going to fall short of the needed budget amount?
Well, again, I think we look at prioritizing, what is most important down to the least important. And you can start with kind of how I do now in my work. So most of you don't know, but, I'm financial analyst by trade now, as well as doing strategic planning and data analytics. So to me, it's just, meeting with each department, you establish what their priorities are and how much those costs are going to be. Then all of a sudden you break those down, and we list those as priorities for the town, what the town feels like needs to be placed as a top priority, and start working on and focusing. And then you start calculating what you can afford and what you can't. If you can't afford it, you look at doing something for future years planning. If it's something that can wait, of course, you put it on for future years planning, but you really stop knocking out those top priorities as much as humanly possible. That's kind of where I would analyze it at and how it would go.
Okay, thank you. Second
Yes, sir,
question has to do, it says our charter states that the town administrator is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the town. That, of course, includes employee management and operations. How would you, as an alderman, handle a situation where a town employee approaches you directly with a concern or an issue?
Well, again, open lines of communication, they can do that. But my first topic and question that I'm going to ask them about is have you informed your supervisor? And work properly through your chain of command. It's of course, they also have the ability to contact aldermen. But supervisors can't fix problems, and that's their top priority. Their top priority is to stand up and specialize for their people. That's what they do as managers. And so, if they're not aware of the problem, then they don't have the ability to fix it. Now, if it's an issue with that manager or anything, then we go up the chain and we can go up to the next highest person. We have HR people that are available. We have, and I do put extra duties and tasks on Miss Debbie, but, Miss Debbie is a wealth of knowledge that this town has that can go out and help and seek out. If it's something that Mark needs to be aware of as a town administrator, we can go to Mark as town administrator. But first and foremost, we have to give those supervisors the ability to manage. That's what you put them in those positions for.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Mayor, I still have 2 questions as well.
I am so sorry.
I was
Alderman
going to ask
Pace.
about Mr. Pace.
Alderman Pace has 2 questions for you this evening, Mr. Chauffeur.
Yes, sir.
Stephen, it's good to see you. Thank you again for doing this. And, me and Alderman Renfro have sat in that seat as well, and you were sitting in it with us. So this is a huge piece, and it is a really hard thing to do and taxing on the mind to think of these answers. With all that being said, though, my first question is, what are your primary goals and objectives if you're appointed?
Serve the people. That's it.
Okay. And along those lines as well, what are your short-term and long-term goals for the board and our community as a whole, and how do you plan to achieve them?
Well, the goals are simple. I just want to see the town do the best job that it can do. I want to see the town put forth the best. I want to see the town of Atoka as the best municipality as I think that it is, and I think that it can be for the for Tipton County, for West Tennessee, for all of Tennessee, and then again, of course, it's the Southwest, and then it's the nation as a whole. I just want to see the town of Atoka to really be the tip of the spear. We're going to lead from the front, and that's just that simple. That's where I wanted to see, and that's what I inspired for this town to be in. I kind of go back to what Alderman Harper said, several months ago, and he said it repeatedly throughout the years. As prior service military like I am, I've had the ability to travel all over the world, and yet we choose Atoka. And we do that for several reasons. And so I'm in love with this town. Like I said, we devote our time, effort, energy, and money into this town as a family, and that's what we plan to continue to do. I love the town of Atoka, and I just want to see it again lead from the front. We're gonna be the example and let everybody else learn from us.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Chauffeur, now I believe that's everybody as far as questions. Do you have any questions for the board as far as the process? Did I lay it out pretty clearly for you as far as tonight?
No, sir. As Alderman Pace said, myself, him, and Alderwoman Renfro sat in this spot a few years back, and kind of went through this process. And so, as far as I'm concerned and my family's concerned, we're going to pray for you guys to make the best decision that you can. If it's me, that's great. It's awesome, and I'm 100% for that. If it's not, we're still supporting this town, and we're still going to show up in November. So whoever is ready to go, then let's go. Let's run an election, and let's see what we can do, and let's get this town on track to where it needs to be, and let's move forward, and let's go.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much for being willing to serve, and as you have served, and we will say good night to you. I know you're an hour ahead in DC, so hopefully you've gotten supper. If not, go get you something to eat. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And thank you guys again for working with me and for the opportunity to interview with you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Cody, thank you for jumping in, buddy. Sorry I forgot about you.
No, you're right. I was sitting there, I'm like, wait, we've got one more.
Boom, boom, boom. I didn't go back.
All right, as long as the questions get out there, we're good to go.
Yeah. So 7:45 is the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am, I was gonna say, I'm gonna take a break and come back. And the next person's gonna be Mr. Price.
Price. Is it Price? Yeah, Price, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we got time to stretch your legs, take a break. started using an arm chip.
It is that, but if I had a Windows laptop or a proper laptop, I'd be doing work all the time. That's how I differentiate work from other things.
This one kind of keeps you.
It keeps me.
I think I'm gonna, because I can see it playing a bigger role in the council as far as the battery life and stuff they're talking about. I don't know if I'll be right out the gate, but maybe the end of this year, when we start looking at buying new systems, just to test it out, you know, and see what's gonna be, like, I've already checked with our malware clients, which is now threatening, and asked them, are they working on the version? So, and they said they are, so. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of the best EDRs out there.
Is it? I probably gotta go. Yeah.
Government's not bad at all.
Good. Yeah, I've always heard good stuff about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I'll have to show you the whole interface, the back end of it and all that stuff. It's really cool.
Reconstruction, maybe. Trying to send me home, give me some sick time. Here. So when he whining because he wants me in that conference room for that meeting, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sick. Can't have a conversation.
So, question number 2.
Hopefully you're better by, take, what's the vehicle?
Sound like that old dog off the Christmas vacation. End of the table.
Oh, he's just yanking on the bun. He'll get, oh, he got it up. No, he's probably just nosing around in the trash.
How are you, Chief?
Quote that freaking movie.
Oh, yeah, good seeing you.
Don't nice to him. He's vain.
He's vain.
Don't get closer. What's the army? I'll turn it around. Because we're just saying that everybody we have tonight is like military affiliated.
What?
Wasn't
Well, you know what? We're making fun of a man.
First
He's sitting
candidate
there hacking
was
a
full
clone
camp.
there in the middle of
Son's
the
at
thing.
full camp.
Pick up some other-
Position goes,
Yeah, uh-huh.
Daddy called.
Yeah.
Drone maintainer.
Plans to pick up some other-
Not say that.
It's kind of freaking cold, this thing.
Army
I
just
mean,
retired his drone.
it's in there.
Chris is retired.
He'll have something to say about that.
Well, last year, he was on deployment in the mainland.
The first thing
That I can't recognize it. He said,
I knew
I'm not matching anymore. When they might have learned a few things about our drones, and we might have left half of them here when we left. He's like, I just want to be hypothetically speaking.
Never again.
So that was his first clue that they might be.
Kept wanting to look at the monitor and not at the camera.
You know, he's looking at it on his phone, so he can't tell where your eyes are.
Okay, all right.
And I have it set up where it's split view, where you've got the table in the corner and your camera down there, camera pointing off.
Gotcha. All righty, good deal.
We were just in 12 years.
Y'all spray for chiggers? What do you do? I thought you were for another one. I thought it was just a different company at the same time. Okay, it don't matter whether the answer would be no. Man, I'm mowed our fireworks lot, I bush hogged it, I had shorts on. I got at least 15 chicken bites all over my legs. Oh, yes. Yeah. It's all mental capacity, just do not scratch. Well, hopefully now, yeah, that's what he's growing up. Yeah. Do you buy some stuff at Walmart or like Farm Supply or something, maybe?
But I'm sure some of the skills that I learned will transfer over to whatever you're doing again.
I mean, I'm hoping now that I bush hog. Really?
There's lots of things. When you do it next time, a lot of things to do more opportunities, so that's what this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would think.
That's what Lincoln's mode was.
He's like, well, this is what they're going to get. Have a plan.
I didn't even think about it.
No, that's.
I mean, I'm riding around on the track, but you know,
Ready to shoot.
it was average about that high. And some of them, the Johnson grass was literally 8 or 9 feet high. It was crazy.
And he said,
I
part of
gotta
that
give it
is.
to the bush hog there, buddy. Chew it right out. It's just it's a John Deere knockoff. It's a company that apparently makes it for John Deere. I can't remember the name, but it's actually John Deere green and everything. But it doesn't say John Deere.
We're not in that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say 740. So what is it? By Finney? Just text it to me. Yeah, will that handle kind of any bugs? Because I usually try to spray I don't want to be starting my fireworks down. I hear you. I want to be able to look around and chill out, and I always try to spray something down.
Yeah, you spray, spray the ground, and then spray like up into.
Yeah.
By menthol, that's what we use.
Okay. Yeah, text me that. Some you just mix up so much ounces per gallon or something like that.
It's, it usually comes in 96.6 ounce jugs, but we just, so it's 1 ounce per gallon.
Okay, good.
Which I just saw, it's 5-year cancer free. So,
That's how they packaged it. Why, I do not know.
Yeah, that is weird. Why
It's
would
weird.
you do that?
I know. Not 100. 6 I know, right?
This is our first, that was our first experience.
so I got his son.
I see Debbie, where did our town administrator go to? Okay.
But you can't keep him son. That class was our lunch period. So he's just sitting.
No, we're all 10 of them, we're all about that.
He's like, no, I'm used to it.
Some on Main Street?
They did Main Street, Maple, Kemp Road.
That was scoring.
That's all I had. That's all I had.
Because when we started talking about it in class,
We need to buy some
Like that,
Put
they
them
have a
right
lot
on
of
the
people.
signs.
It's right to believe, but.
Yeah.
You know, it
It makes it a little tougher in small towns.
especially in the
They don't look like
You're-
they know they
Yeah, you're gonna have some pushback with that. Some people try to sway his belief. Not sway him. It's like, good. I mean, he's got the knowledge. He's so smart. trash. Yeah, pick up the trash.
I keep my water on its side because it tastes better. It's just all the glass. That's the only way it's from, so clean.
One of his best friends actually that went in he went as a year old.
Because Richard was retired Navy, right?
What's the Scouts gonna be known as next year?
Scouting America?
And it's
Kind of
saying,
what,
Scouts of America?
kind of what it should have been when they integrated.
Scouts BSA is what it's been for like 5 years, and that makes no sense because the Scouts, Boy Scouts of America. So, the other thing they're testing next year, right now, all of the girl troops are completely separate. You have only boy troops and only girl troops. Well, and I knew it was gonna come because there's not leadership. So right now, they're testing some pilot methods, some co-ed troops. So I'm gonna say 3 to 5 years, the Boy Scouts will be all ready.
I mean, I can tell you what summer camp at Camp McMarsh was like. And, yeah. Yeah. And team, yes, yes. That's exactly, yeah. Oh, yeah. What if it's a boy and a girl?
Oh, yeah, 3. I bet you had 3 on one side too.
Well, you're gonna have some
I'm
leaders.
telling you. All right, good evening, Mr. Price. You can have a seat right there, sir. Good evening.
Evening, how are you?
Good. I'm Mayor Barry Aiken. I don't believe we've met.
Not formally, no.
Okay, good. I'm always kind of throwing it out there because I meet a lot of people and then they go, yeah.
No, I don't think we have.
Okay, good. Want to give you a little overview tonight as far as how everything's going to kind of play out, and then we'll go from there. Okay. For the very first thing, I just want to let you know that we took all of the people that wanted to be a candidate for the position. We randomized them with a number generator on the internet, and that's the order, and I believe you're number 4 tonight. So it was strictly a random order, but I definitely want to tell you thank you for considering taking time out of your personal life to devote to public service for the town. That in of itself says a lot about your character. It is, as I think most of the board members up here would testify, that it is a thankless job a lot of the times. You will be referred to on social media as either ignorant or lining your pockets for your own personal gain, and you can take it from there. So just know what you're getting into. We are going to be asking each person on the board, and we also have Alderman Giannini is virtual tonight, and we're all going to be asking you 2 questions apiece. We would ask that you would limit your answers to around 2 minutes. We'll be timing you, and when you get close, Miss Debbie over here will hold up her yellow folder. That'll let you know you got about 15 seconds left. And then if you keep going, just know that when you hear the beep, wind it down.
Okay.
You are not going to be asked any questions that we are asking the same questions of all the candidates. We are not singling you out and picking certain questions for you. These are all the same questions across the board. After every candidate has been interviewed, after we are have done all of them, then we're going to score our answers up here. We're going to calculate who gets the highest points. If you wish to remain around when we bring everybody back in to hear the totals, that's fine. If you want to go on home, we will notify you one way or the other as far as that. You're going to notice that while you're answering the questions, we might be looking down. We've got sheets up here, and we'll be making mental notes and scoring. Maybe there's something in your answer that we're going to write down, and when it comes time to score you. So don't let that concern you, that we're not just locked totally eyeball to eyeball with you. And just so you understand, I hope you realize it. So when we do come up with that person that has scored the highest by the board, you will be officially appointed to the board at our June 11th meeting toward the end of the meeting, and that's when you'll actually be sworn in and take your place up here. And so this position, this appointment will be filled from when you get appointed June 11th till the November election. If you wish to put your name in to pull your packet, to be on the ballot for the November election, that is something you would have to do in addition. So, you do have a bottle of water there on you, and we've all got our waters up here, so please feel free to take that as you need to. And so I guess with that, if you want to give us a short introduction about yourself, we'll get started with the question.
Okay, my name is Josh, Joshua Price. I go by Josh. I've been in Atoka since 2019. I am in the Navy, which I discussed with Mr. Warner here. I will be officially retiring October 31st, my last day of actual Navy duty being August 9th. I'm involved heavily in youth sports. I'm with the Scouts. I'm a Scout leader. I was a Cub Master for 2.5 years there before my kids moved up to the Scout level. And we're pretty involved there. So I got a pretty big face in the community between here and Munford. I've probably coached half the kids that have played youth sports between the two. So being yelled at by parents coaching youth baseball is not an abnormal thing.
Okay.
For me, so,
Yeah.
So that's about as much as I can say about my career here
Okay.
Here, so.
All right. Well, that's excellent. Again, thank you so much for just putting your name in to be interviewed, and we'll start off our questions this evening with Alderman Giannini on the virtual.
Mr. Price, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Mr. Price, and welcome. And first, thanks for your service, and thanks for your ability or your willingness to serve on the board, and also with the youth there, coaching them up. Can't be easy, like you said, with the parents. It'll be the same if you're seated. But anyway, no matter what happens tonight, I'd encourage you to run in November, or if you don't want to do that, offer up yourself to the mayor to serve on a committee. Having that in mind, that's my first question. Do you plan on running and for one of the seats in November?
I do. I do intend on running.
Good deal. All right. And next, how do you think you'll respond to, or what will your actions be to a citizen who comes to you with a concern?
I guess it depends on how they come to me with that concern. If it's a social media concern, my typical reaction is don't respond. Especially if it's a public forum, I tend to just back off from it. I don't respond because I'm also very easily sucked into arguments. So on social media,
we'll say it's a concern about overgrown grass or a ditch or a pothole.
I think I'd probably just refer them to the appropriate source of whatever the concern is. So if it's a code thing, refer them to code enforcement. If it's a HOA thing, refer them to the HOA. I would find the correct source of information and give them the correct answer, and whether they like it or not, that's what they got to accept or change. So.
All right. Thank you, sir, for answering my questions. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Alderman Giannini. We will proceed to Alderman Schaefer to my left.
All right. Hey, Mr. Price, thank you for taking the time out of your evening to come and talk to us, and also thank you for your interest in this seat. My first question is, why are you interested in serving on the board of mayor and aldermen?
Most of my public service, when I say that, like coaching, scouts, getting involved in almost everything I get involved in, comes down to the future of my kids, and they are the future of me, really, and us. So if I can help mold that in any way, that is the motivation. And this town is a lot like my hometown. And I did put that in my interest letter. My hometown is a lot like this one. Even the surrounding towns is very similar. I've seen what this can turn into with the growth, and there's ways I think that can be managed. And the answer isn't stunt the growth, like you can't. So it just needs to be managed it needs to be managed correctly, I guess. So.
Okay. All right, and my second question is, in your opinion, what are the most pressing issues facing our community, and how would you address them?
Infrastructure. We are, from my understanding, I haven't been to every one of these board meetings. I don't understand our utilities 100%, but Atoka is not self-sustaining. We rely on other communities. So I know that there's been proposals for like additions, subdivisions to go in here, and they haven't happened. And I believe it's because utility issues. So I think infrastructure is a big issue here. And just from a parent level, another one is I think a lot of just from a personal perspective, a lot of people that came into this community 10 years ago kind of expected the growth to push for, like we know the middle school. I kind of expected a middle school here by this point, but I don't know I really don't know the numbers. I don't think we have enough kids for it, so I think that's an expectation that a lot of people have, but we don't.
Thank you.
All right, and continuing to my left, we have Alderman Renfro.
Hi, thank you for coming. My first question is, how do you plan to balance the interests of Atoka with the practical limitations of governance?
I think a lot of that comes down to, it comes out of taxes, right? So if you want a service, it has to be paid for. And we really do we're basically tied to the lowest taxes in the county. And people don't realize that. And yeah, I think it comes out of taxes. That's about it. And I think you just need to explain that. People need to understand, and I think it needs to be maybe communication, in a way that this is what we want, this is what we need, and just transparency with numbers. So.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, how would you balance the need for development and growth with maintaining the character of our community?
That's tough.
That's a good one, ain't it?
This is what my community that I grew up in struggled with, because the one big industry that moved in there was kind of like the people that worked there weren't desirable. It's Forest River Trailer Manufacturing is the company that moved in there.
I did not know that.
And it's Dallas, Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So the type of people that work there are, people start working there right out of high school, and the people that stay there and raise their families there are either those people, or they're the people that work an hour away, and it turns into a bedroom community. I think the benefit we have in this town, and it's a little biased, I guess, is that we have a lot of retired military, and this place is, people want to move here when they live on that base, and I think keeping up with our schools, or good schools, I think are key. one of the key things in here. But as far as keeping the small town feel, that's organic. Like my hometown is grown, it's doubled in size, right? But it still feels like a small town when you get there. So, I think it comes down to like not overcrowding, you know, managing the space.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir. To my right, Alderman Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for choosing to sit in the hot seat tonight. So, let me turn the mic on. So my first question is, how would you handle a disagreement with a fellow board member, conflict, and/or maybe and/or with a member of the community?
Well, it has to be uncivilly, like for one. Just number one, it's gotta be professional, right? So, ideally, it's gonna be and a lot of things are gonna be opinion, but you can bring facts to a lot of tables. And I do this a lot, especially when it comes to project type stuff. You got what people want, and you got what people need. And I think it just comes down to understanding each other's expectations. So, yeah, I think you gotta feel out each other's expectations.
Okay. Can you provide an example of a time when you had to stand up for what you felt was the right thing to do, even when that decision was unpopular?
Yep. So early in my career, I had this kid he was 18. Rarely in the military anymore do you get an 18-year-old come in out of boot camp. I've had maybe two since I've been in the Navy. Since my first 2 years. So in 19 years, I've had two 18-year-olds. But this young sailor didn't have a driver's license. He had one of his barracks roommates, buddies. They weren't roommates, but they lived in the barracks. Left a bar, went to a 7-Eleven, and then when he got to 7-Eleven, decided he was no good to drive. Called him. He walked over there. He walked like a mile to the 7-Eleven to drive his car on base. Got pulled over leaving because he didn't have headlights on. Then he didn't have a driver's license. He got a $600 ticket. Had to call our boss at the time. And then they sent him to captain's mast, which is like non-judicial punishment. Judge and jury is the captain, the CO, stuff like that. And I was the only character witness that stood up for him. Like, he did the right thing. He got caught. He should have called us before, but he went to pick someone up that shouldn't have been driving drunk. By the book, they both should have been in trouble, but he shouldn't have gone down 100% for, and he didn't. He ended up walking away from it. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman Harper. And continuing to my right, Alderman Pace.
Mr. Price, thank you for being here tonight. It's a very hard seat to be sitting in. I've sat in that one as much as Alderman Renfro has as well in the last one. So we know kind of those feelings and just the taxing of emotion there on the mind on trying to think these questions. Going into this, what are your primary goals and objectives if you're appointed?
guess the purpose of getting into this isn't to change anything, but to help manage how we govern, I guess, as a town. Because I don't think any one person makes a decision, right? But I've only been to 2 town meetings, and like the last one, like I think if I would have been at the one before, or even read ahead on the agenda, I would have been able to fill in that thing and speak on some of the issues that Alderman Giannini spoke on with the budget. And one of the big things is fees. I don't necessarily agree with, like, I understand that taxes need to go up and prices need to go up, and that the utility fees that were proposed didn't even meet inflation. Like, it was, so that was fair. But the penalties for getting your water turned off and having to turn it back on, I think some of them might have doubled. There's at least $25 in each one. So it's expensive to be poor sometimes, right? So, bank fees, late fees, turning stuff off, turning it back on, I don't see the purpose and stuff like that. I'd like to be able to speak on stuff like that.
Okay. And kind of following along the same lines here, what are your short-term and long-term goals, for that matter, for the board and the community as a whole, and how do you plan to achieve those?
I'd like to improve our recreational, I'd like to help push some recreation improvements, like with Nancy Lane, Walker Park. I know there's kids that would love to have more prevention around those ditches. Balls going those things. Our softball fields could use some work. What was this? Was there 2 parts of that? What was the second part?
So it's your short-term and long-term, and how you achieve them.
And how to achieve those, it'd be working here at this level, and basically trying to, I guess, impress the importance of those things, because it's not just our community that plays there. Like at Atoka, it's not just our community that plays there. Like we are competing with other communities in those areas. Like right now, look at Brighton used to be the mecca of baseball in this area, and now you can't compete with Mufford, on baseball. You can't. They're more competitive in soccer. They're just. I think their program is better managed, and I think we can do better.
All right. So I believe, am I the last one?
I believe so, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. All right, Mr. Price. So my first question has to do is, and you've talked a little bit about it. So as you know, the last few months we've been working on budget for our fiscal year 2025. And I just wanted to kind of paint a word picture for you of what you would be up against. And that's not the right word. What facts you have to consider when making that budget. So last year the town had over $700,000 of unexpected infrastructure repairs. This year we're also looking at over $700,000, and either we have a bridge that needs to be replaced, and we've got several culverts that have to be replaced, so repairs and replacements of those. With that in mind, and considering that like everything else and like everyone else, all the costs to the town have risen since COVID. Almost all of our departments need more staff to adequately provide town services. You mentioned parks, for an example. you always have to be in mind that we're competing with the municipalities around us. And in that case, I'm talking about not only recruiting staff, but retaining staff. You always have to keep that in mind, employee recruitment and retention. And again, to go back to the infrastructure, it's only gonna get older and it's only gonna be stressed. So with all of that, you're going into a budget season. You have to create a budget. How would you go about creating a budget for the town? And what would you do if it was determined the town's revenue was going to fall short of the needed budget amount?
Well, I think you guys have done it. Well, you've done what I think I would have done with the deficit from last year, and I think it's going up to 83 cents or 85 cents per run. Yeah. So last year we were shorted, you know, and I have some friends that live from the base that live up here, and they've complained about taxes and what they're complaining about, you know, compared to Shelby County, you know. But when you look at what we're paying and what we're paying for, I think that's the answer. And then prioritization, you know. Sometimes things need to go on the back burner, and what's wants and what's needs. So that's that's a meeting on its own. That's a whole other discussion, is what do we need, what do we want, you know, and what's older, you know, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. My second question, now I got my mic on. My second question, so our town charter states that the town administrator is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the town, including employee management and operations. How would you as an alderman handle a situation where a town employee approaches you directly with a concern or an issue?
Well, I guess first thing I'd ask is am I the first person they're talking to? So how have we gotten to where you're asking an alderman who's not really I'm not in your chain of employment. So I guess I also don't know what effect we would have on that issue. If a town employee came to me, do I have an influence on the town administrator other than a voice? So I don't know the answer to that part, but I would figure that out first, and then I would encourage them to go through the right channels. And if they've already done that, you'd have to manage who you're talking to, not to, to keep their trust, right? So you don't want someone that's coming to you with a problem that doesn't trust you. So now how do you manage who's the next person to talk to? So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And I guess it might be you. You know?
It may be. And, you know, and I'm like you. First question I'm gonna ask is, well, who have you talked to before coming to me? So, well, all right, that is all of our questions this evening. Do you have any questions again about the process, the procedures for tonight, and how we're gonna do this?
So you guys are determining, y'all, I say you guys. Right?
That's fine. All good.
You'll be determining this position tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you would be.
I don't think he mentioned about sticking around.
He did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's 2 more interviews after this?
Just one.
Or 1 more, okay.
Yeah, we had one person drop out.
I did want to ask you, is it okay if I email you guys after this, or sometime next week, to get feedback on this? I haven't had an interview since I was 17 years old.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I don't, at all. No, definitely. I think that's not a bad idea at all. It's always good to find out, you know, self feedback. So, But regardless of what we do tonight, we will score, and then if you wanna hang around, or if you wanna go home, the county administrator will be reaching out to you.
Can I hang here or do I need to go out?
Yeah, go out, and then we'll call everybody that's still around, we'll call all of y'all back into the room, and
Okay.
that's when we'll do our announcement.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
He took his time.
Used all your time. Mhm.
No, there was about 30 seconds.
I mean,
I was getting hot.
and this is kind of what I was telling him. I'm glad, because he took us into that and thought about how he wanted that before he just jumped right in.
We're just doing answer from right.
Yes. And it's interesting because when people are interviewing, you can definitely see how their mind works.
Yeah.
And he's a very cautious and wants to get it right the first time.
So John,
He actually, they just moved over, he was Cub Master, and so they actually just this year moved over to the troop, and since I'm not, Henry was Scout Master, but Henry just recently stepped down.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had some work, he's over maintenance, he had a maintenance, apparently just a bunch of stuff started coming flying out, and then, just, you know, back.
Yeah, yeah.
Way too much coughing and sneezing going on.
We need a negative test.
Poor mayor's up there coughing.
Yeah.
This is not my fault. I was the last one on the totem pole that ended up in the city. Now it's my fault. I got it. I was at a problem. He was sitting. I wasn't talking. He was sitting.
Hey, Brett, I won't call on you first this time.
Sir?
I won't call on you first this time.
No, that's okay, I don't mind.
Okay.
Way better.
John, you started that. How do you start?
You haven't started yet, start with me, no, I can start.
Trying to do that random thing again.
Two more minutes.
What? Probably from the moment. What? Here, or it doesn't go on this. It doesn't go on this. It doesn't go on this.
We got First Friday tomorrow morning. None of y'all ever come to First Friday.
Just tell your boss.
Yeah.
You don't come in the alderwoman role, you come in.
If he's a member of the chamber, you're like, hey, I can give a plug for just in case security to the.
The chamber.
Can you be a member of both? So.
I don't know. No, they might.
Cause they do that all the time. People stand up and they're like, hey, like we'll ask, they'll say, anybody first time here? Or if you just wanna get up and just talk about your company, hey, just in case security, blah, blah, blah. You can type and say, hey, I need to go.
You confident like you spoke.
Are you all ready for the next candidate, Mayor?
I'm sorry,
You all
but
ready for the next candidate?
we got one more minute, Mr. Administrator.
50 seconds.
Oh, actually, my clock just turned. Go ahead, Miss Rachel. Whoever. Dechi.
It might need water.
I'm looking at you, Mark.
He's gonna.
Water.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to mess it up. Yeah, he's on that.
He's also.
He's not on the, industrial development.
Give up the idea. It is.
So what?
Come on in, Mr. DG, if you want to sit down at the chair there.
Evening, everyone.
So, thank you very much for putting your name in to possibly fill this vacancy we have on the board. Just want to kind of give you an overview of how things are going to play out this evening, and we'll go from there. First thing is, just to let you know, we took all the names that were submitted and we put them through a random number generator, and you happen to come up the final one. Might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, but it was a random, totally random thing. Again, thank you very much. I think that if the board members here and Alderman Giannini, which is virtual, they would tell you that it is not, most of the time it is a thankless position. You will be called all sorts of names on social media, from ignorant to lining your pockets for personal gain and anything else. But we do appreciate you being willing to serve. The way we're going to do it tonight, each and every one of us are going to ask you 2 questions apiece. We would ask that you limit your answers to around 2 minutes. Miss Debbie over here will hold up a yellow folder when you're getting down to about 15 seconds left, and then we actually will have a beeper go off when we hit the 2-minute point. You don't have to just stop in mid-sentence, but just, be closing it up. The questions that we're going to ask of you, we're not picking specific questions for you. Every person that is set there is getting all of the same questions.
Fantastic.
So that way we can evaluate everybody equally. And then after you're finished, we're going to ask you to step out, or actually we'll call everybody back in, and we're going to hand our score sheets to the town recorder and the town administrator. They're going to add up the totals, check our math, and then we'll be announcing who gets the position. You're going to notice as you answer, we're going to look down. We've got all sorts of papers up here. Might be something in your answer we want to make a note of, kind of mentally stick us. So please don't be concerned about that. It's perfectly normal. And I hope you're aware, but I wanted to go over, so the way to work, let's say that you get the highest totals tonight, you will actually be officially appointed on our June 11th board meeting, toward the end of that meeting. The position you will fill will be from June 11th when you are appointed till the November election. If you want to put your name in, pull a packet, and be on the ballot for the November election, you would need to do that. That is because this appointment is strictly until that position is filled by the voters.
Yes, sir.
You got some water in front of you there. We all have it up here. Please feel free to partake of that. And with that, I would ask you if you could give us just, we do have your letter up here, but if you want to give us a short introduction, and then we'll get going with the questions.
Good evening, everyone. I realize that I'm the only thing standing between you and bed, so I'm going to be brief. My
name is Chris Dici. I've lived here in Atoka now for about 4 or 5 years. I retired from the Navy last June. Picked Atoka because Atoka is our forever home. We discovered this city that it met everything that we liked in it. We like the community, we like the people here. It's just a great, wonderful place to live. When I told my wife I was considering this, she looked at me, she goes, I thought you were not going to do anything like this for a while. I said, well, I live here and I need to contribute to the place I live. And I want to make it a better place, not for me, but for everybody. So that's why I'm here.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Okay, we are going to start this evening, questions from Alderman Harper.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Chris, thank you for coming out tonight, for being willing to be in the hot seat. My first question for you is how would you handle a conflict, a disagreement between you and a fellow board member, and or between you and an Atoka citizen?
I'll start with the board member. I believe that any time that the aldermen get together and sit, we should have frank conversations. We shouldn't be afraid to tell the truth to each other. In fact, if you can't tell the truth to each other, you probably shouldn't be sitting in this room. However, there's a time and a place for that. It's important that the voters and our residents of Atoka see a unified front. So if you're going to argue, you probably want to argue in private. If we just come to a meeting, we make a decision, we slap the table, we walk out, that's the decision. Walking out and then afterwards saying, we agreed, but Chris really was a jerk about it, and it wasn't really a good idea. I don't think his ideas are any good. What does that say? I mean, it shows a fracture in leadership, and you can't have that. So you have to stand together. Once we slap the table, that's a final decision. You keep it to yourself. You can come behind closed doors and argue it. Having an argument with one of our residents, a taxpayer here, you've got to be respectful. We work for them. We serve the people of Atoka. That's our job. So are we going to agree on everything? No. But you can disagree sometimes and still walk away feeling good about yourself and the other one as well. There's no reason to get petty or ugly about things. And Mayor, to your point about being called all sorts of hateful things, my time in the military, I sat in some pretty senior seats, and I find that very often people will use us as a lightning rod because they're frustrated, and sometimes they just need to be heard. And someone needs to sit and listen to them. And if you do that, very often you can walk away, both you and the people you're having arguments with, feeling pretty good about each other.
Thank you. My second question, now that my mic is on, can you give me an example of a time when you had to stand up for what you believed was right, even when that decision was unpopular?
Oh, absolutely. I've done that a number of times in my military career. Most recently, before I retired, we were working on a program for the Navy that required, in order to get promoted, you had to take a challenging position somewhere else. Not very popular. A lot of people like to stay where they're stationed and stay where they're at. However, we're at the point where we had about 7,500 senior billets not getting filled. And so my boss and I came to the decision that this is what we need to do, and we rolled that policy out. It was not popular. However, it made the military stronger. Sometimes we have to make unpopular decisions for the betterment of our community or our command.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, Mr. G, we're going to go down to my left, Alderman Schaefer.
Thank you. Great name. First, thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us tonight, and also thank you for your interest in filling this seat. My first question is, why are you interested in serving on the board of mayor and aldermen?
Because I believe that if you're going to live somewhere, you should be serving and helping your community. It just seems like a natural progression in life that you go from we're servant leaders. And it's our responsibility, if we're going to live in a community, to take care of it, cultivate it, make it a stronger, better place to live. And that's what I want to do, is help. And as I told the mayor, if I'm not selected for this, that's okay. I'm still going to be working with the IDB. I'm still going to come to the town hall meetings. I'm still going to provide feedback to the city because I love it here.
Thank you. My second question is, in your opinion, what are the most pressing issues facing our community? And also, how would you address them?
A deficit. That's our biggest problem, is that we need revenue, tax revenue. We need revenue. And we have a need for more money, and the question is, how do you get there from here? I believe, you see construction slowing down on housing, right? So we had a big boom of housing in Atoka, and now it seems like they're across the street over in Mumford. So what do we do? I think that's by providing incentives for national businesses and some local businesses, bring them into Atoka. You take a look at some things, and it'll be hard for some local businesses to catch. So how do we generate tax revenue? Find something that people are going to know already that doesn't bring us down, but it's a national brand that we bring in here of some retail or food or drink or whatever, and use that to raise money and through tax revenue for the city. Cars cost money, parks cost money, police cost money, fire departments cost money. Believe me, I do not want to be the guy or the person whose house is on fire and the fire truck doesn't come fast enough because it's broken. I want to make sure that we are completely funded in all of our utilities. That kind of stuff you can't go cheap on, and it doesn't come cheap.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, also to my left is Alderman Renfro.
Good evening. My first question is, how do you plan to balance the interest of Atoka with the, with the practical limitations of governance?
Honest conversation. A lot of times you can, people get nervous and they get excited when something new is coming in. I want to keep it the way Atoka is. The city was established in 1876. We've got to keep it the way it was. We can't. And so you sit down, you have those frank conversations, you lay it out for people very simply and plainly. Hey, this is what we have, this is what we need, and this is how we can get there. And if you tell the voters that, I would hope that they would understand. And sometimes they're not going to. Sometimes you have to tell them, look, this is what we have to do if we're going to have a city that's safe, if we're going to have a city that can respond to emergencies, if we're going to have safe places to drive. We're going to have to raise money and give people the options. Well, we could raise your taxes. Nobody wants to do that. Or we could find other sources of revenue for the town of Atoka. And I think there's a lot of opportunities we could do here through tax incentives, through business incentives to get people to come here.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, how would you balance the need for development and growth with maintaining the character of our community?
That's a great question. You don't want to cheapen Atoka, right? I don't want to, talk down about our friends to the south of Millington, but it seems like there's a lot of growth there. And what happens when everyone gets tired of all this growth at once? Lots of growth happening right now. When it gets old, and don't worry, we're going to go back to the way Millington was back in the 90s, where it was just Walmart and all these other businesses were closing. I think you have to do it carefully. You don't flood the place with, we need 16 fast food restaurants and 25 stores in Atoka by next month. I don't think you do that. I think you do it slowly. I think you do it carefully. And that's where coming into having national brands that people understand, and people already have that mindset of, oh, okay, I know this place. I'll go here because I like that. I'll shop there. That is how you get, your tactical employment of businesses.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
All right, thank you, Alderman Renfro. Alderman Giannini is I believe, our last one beside me, and I'm going to turn it over to you for your question, sir. I did it again.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
All right, anyway, Alderman Giannini, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. And good evening, Mr. Dici. Am I saying that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, appreciate it. Well, first of all, thank you for being willing to put yourself up for this seat and your service, and also your service on the IDD board. Kind of leads me to my next question, or my first question rather. Are you going to run for one of the seats in November?
Absolutely.
For Alderman?
Absolutely.
Good deal. All right. And second is, how are you going to respond to, or what will your actions be to a citizen who comes to you with a concern about a city service, say?
Well, first I'm going to listen. I want to make sure that the citizens have a chance to express what their concern is. I want to hear it. I want to make sure that I understand it and repeat it back to them of, okay, this is what you're saying is your problem. this is what we have to do. And then before I say, well, this is what we need to do, probably need to come back and talk to the alderman, talk to the mayor, make sure that we have the mayor's message before I go talking on my own. That's important. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are keeping one message, one team here. It's not a board of aldermen, individual aldermen and a mayor. It's the city of Atoka. So I would probably listen to the person's concerns and bring it back to the alderman and the mayor and go from there. And make sure that I get back to that person in a timely manner. Because that's something that drives people crazy, is you listen to their problems and they think, okay, well, this person's listening. And then they never get back to you. And it's gotta be in a timely manner. It can't be 6 months later like, hey, Bob, you remember 6 months ago you told me that you had this leaking culvert in your backyard? Well, yeah, it flooded my entire house. Okay, sorry, we can't help you. You gotta get back in a timely manner. You gotta make sure those conversations happen right away so people know that you're listening and know that you care.
All right, thank you, sir. That's all I have. I appreciate you answering my questions.
Thank you very much. Hope you're having a good time. Where are you now?
Maxwell, Alabama.
Yes, sir. Familiar. Have fun. Thanks, boss. Sorry.
But he's Air Force, so he's gonna have much better facilities. Just saying.
I'm proud to say I've never served on a submarine.
I'll hold on my comments till he votes.
I can't believe I did it, but our last one beside myself is Alderman Pace. Please go ahead with your questions, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming tonight and in the interest. Myself and Alderman Renfro know that the difficulty of these answers and taxing questions that can be had, as we both sat through this before. So again, thank you for this. And that leads me into my first question. What would your primary goals and objectives be if you were appointed?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. What are your primary goals and objectives if you were appointed?
To support the city of Atoka. Make it a better place. Work with the other aldermen and the mayor and the rest of the town to make this the premier place to live in Tennessee. And make sure that other people know it too, because I already know that.
Thank you for that. And kind of going along those same lines, what would your short-term and long-term goals be for the board and the community as a whole, and what would you do to achieve them?
So short term, get to know as much about the city government as possible and be a contributing member, not just the guy who sits in the corner and votes along with the team, but a person who learns and understands what's going on here. Long term, my goal is to make sure that Atoka is continues to be a great place to live. And how do I do that? Coming and being part of the community. Whether it's being an alderman, whether it's being on the IDB, whether it's being a person who comes to a flag raising ceremony, being just involved, supporting the community, supporting local events. That's just part of how you do it. Just be there for others.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir. As you are aware, we have been for the last few months working on our fiscal 2025 budget. And I just wanted to kind of paint a word picture for you. Some of the things that you have to consider when you're coming up with that budget, and then I have a question about that at the end. So last year, the town had over $700,000 in unexpected infrastructure repairs. This year, we're also looking at over $700,000 of unexpected. Well, actually, we have a bridge that needs to be replaced, and then we have several culverts that are in need of replacement as well. Like everyone else, all of our costs to the town have risen, like everyone knows. We need more staff in almost all of our departments to continue to provide the level of town service that our citizens deserve. Talking about staff and employees, you have to remember that you're always competing with other municipalities around us. And that's whether you're recruiting those individuals or you're talking about the retention and keeping and making sure that the town of Atoka is a great place to work. As I said again, the Atoka infrastructure is only going to continue to age and have more stress put upon it. So And these are just a few. This is not a comprehensive, but with those things in mind, how would you go about entering into and creating a budget for the town? And what would you do if it was determined that the town's revenue was going to fall short of the needed budget amount?
Well, first and foremost is you've got to figure out what is the most important things for you. What is the most important things for the residents? Quality of life things. We're talking police, we're talking fire, we're talking water, we're talking sewage. Those are the things that keep people up at night. I'd make sure that they're funded. I'd make sure that we are doing everything in our power to come up with ways that are cost effective, smart. There's always ways to sometimes do things as efficiently that cost less. Certain things in life, though, you shouldn't chintz on. Police, fire, water, sewage, to name a couple. If we decide, if it should come that we have a deficit that we can't meet, sometimes hard decisions have to be made. And it's not always popular, but there are some things that we might have to cut back on. There's also, I don't know, I'd have to talk to the legality of it, but, getting private funding for things. Public-private funding works very well in certain areas. I don't necessarily think I want to start slapping a logo on the side of everything in Atoka and turn this into a NASCAR race, but figuring out ways that we can utilize our resources outside of the community to bring in resources to the community. Whether that's through businesses or leveraging, I couldn't begin to tell you, maybe figuring out ways to bring people into Atoka that don't cost us a lot of money. Take a look, for example, Lightfoot Farms, right? And you see where they started with their farmers market. We could do something like that over at the park. We are starting now. We have our farmers market over here. We could do that and grow ours just as big. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. My second question. So our town charter states that the town administrator is responsible for day-to-day administration of the town, including employee management and operations. How would you as an alderman handle a situation where a town employee approaches you directly with a concern or an issue?
Oh, again, as I said earlier, I would listen to the concern first and foremost. I would make sure that the person is safe, that it's not something that's life-threatening or a cause for any kind of harm to come to the person. And then after that, then I would go talk to Mark. And then if not, if it was about him, I would come talk to you. It's one of those things you don't want to start going around, and it's not that I would try to keep secrets from everybody, but when it's something about a member of the town, depending on how high up, well, not really even depending on how high up, just if it's somebody in the town, you want to keep it a small circle, right? Because people will often convict you before you're found guilty, and you don't get to pull that back. So you want to keep small things, you want to keep things, if someone has a complaint about somebody, small into a small circle and address it properly. If it's founded, then bring the decision to you on what to do. If it's unfounded, you sit down to the person who made the complaint and say, look, this is what we did, this is what we found out, this is what we've got. We don't believe that this is a cause for a serious complaint, but if you'd like to have 5 minutes with the mayor, we can do that for you.
All right, well, thank you, sir. That, I believe, I'm looking over here. I believe that finishes all of our questions. Do you have any questions for us as far as the process and the procedure?
No, sir.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank everybody for their time tonight. Again, I realize I'm the only thing standing between you and bedtime or ice cream. So
Ice cream, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You're welcome to stay. Miss Rachel, if you want to have everybody come back in that's still out there. The board needs to finish up tallying their sheets. So we'll take about, well, as long as it takes. So mention high school.
Mayor, you're taking all of us out.
I'm like, hey, there's Queen Anne. I feel a blizzard in my future. Yvonne, never had one. I'm a blizzard.
Reese's peanut butter pie.
What?
The Reese's peanut butter pie blizzard.
That sounds good.
There you go. Heat or Butterfinger. Those are my two. Mr. Administrator?
Yes, sir.
When we're
You
done,
announce all the scores, you're just gonna announce the top score. I'm okay.
I'm
with
giving
just the
all
top.
of them.
I mean, I'm just in terms of the announcement, I'm okay with just the top.
yeah, as far as the announcement, we'll do the
Right.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the prudent thing to do.
yeah.
All right, sir.
Mark,
Glad you're still
I have
there.
one, Mr. Mayor, I've got one question.
Yes, sir.
Can we be, without the scorer's name on it or the evaluator's name, can we have the score sheets emailed to us?
Sure. I put my name on mine, but they can cross that out if they want to.
I did.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
have
I
all
didn't put
these
it on
sheets
mine either, but
Sent to us.
Okay.
All the sheets will be sent to all the board members.
Thank you.
thank you.
It is one to make sure that they don't put that there. That would be a bad call to announce somebody. It's like was it Miss America did it a few years ago?
It was the Steve Harvey. Yeah, yeah, he said the wrong name or something. I just wanted to say that we are very, very fortunate to have such a deep well of excellent candidates. Very impressed by everybody that participated tonight, and yeah, I think we got an opportunity to really do some great things for the town. Continue to do great things for the town.
I don't know how many citizens are there, I can't see, but, something that would be nice if we can do next time, if there's not too many there, have a citizen ask a question of each candidate.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good idea. Yes, sir. I think we have is that Miss Gail? Are you the wife? Okay, and we, I don't know if we had anybody else. We had a lot of staff.
Look at her.
No. No. Constables, no.
No.
Well, I think it was absolutely rude and disrespectful for Wesley not to offer me a water.
You want water?
It's a little late now.
I'm filling it up right now, sending it to you.
Thank you, Director.
Of course, saving the town money, we'll choose the United States Postal Service to get that to you. So you might get it in 2-3 weeks.
It'll be in the mail in the morning.
It'll be evaporated by the time it gets there. Just send him an empty bottle.
Mayor, you do not have any public comment at this, nobody signed up on the sheet?
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'll put the change in the file.
And we have a stand.
Did I do the, where I read some of the actual social media comments? I should have done that again. Chris, did I do that with you?
With what?
we were interviewing, and I pulled actual comments off of Facebook about the board of mayor and aldermen. And I read them, and about Mayor Walker, and I read them, boom, 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 and I said, okay. So then, how do you feel about social media and the part it plays in all this?
When we did our debate or whatever it's called, some of the questions they asked, they pulled from our social media.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty rude dog too, well, you know, you can imagine.
On the public.
Yeah, when I did that one time, I actually quoted how the mayor Walker was, you know, an idiot and didn't know what he was doing, and the board and this and that, and they all went line their pockets.
I love the one, how the alderman has the nicest houses in town.
I heard that,
I was like, I bought my house in 2008, I didn't run till 18.
It's unfortunate. It's so funny. Mine also came. You want some? No. Switches.
My budget was 40 and I came in at 44.
Okay.
The quote that I got was 105.
Yeah, no.
What for?
I got the pool.
Oh, yeah, I knew you were putting one in.
Me and Warren had talked about it and I was like.
Is it all done, or
It's done. Took me
concrete, landscaping, everything?
everything. The only thing is, I do have a place for a recessed hot tub that I was originally gonna do built-in, but because of budget constraints, I mixed it, and now I'm probably just gonna go to Costco and just drop one in that hole. But
Amanda just got a hot tub. I don't know where she got it.
I went to Family Leisure.
But you see on Facebook, people get over cheap all the time.
Really?
It's like weightlifting
I
equipment.
saw a nice one, somebody said they would give away.
Just go move it, yeah. I'm still active doing that.
You want to run some good chemical.
I got the good kind of white.
You cheap.
Part of the difficulty for me was that I'm so far off the road that I had to pump my concrete. And so I had to pump the footings and pump the walls. Yes, yes.
Yeah, he got quite the slope. So you park on the bottom all the time?
I do. Everybody on our street does, and then I first moved in.
I didn't realize until this ice storm when we bought the house. It's like, I knew we had a little bit of snow.
It don't take much.
No.
If it's ice, it don't take much.
That ice definitely showcased how much of a slope it was. But the good thing is, where the base goes essentially, I work from home anyway, so I ain't got to worry about it. And then Lauren, the clinic was shut down, so she doesn't have to go in. So, the only problem is they force them to take leave if they have.
You know, Linda was a dental assistant long time, and they always had to, most of the dentists she worked with, if the dentist took off, that's when you took off. Yeah. You had to kind of work with him.
Sure.
It wasn't like that always, for the most part.
There's a lot of times I'll just schedule cleaning days. Dennis and I clean.
Yeah, like today, this morning, I had to go to Covington, my dentist, and she said, that the hygienist that cleans, she said, well, the dentist is not here today, so you're good, you're ready to go. Cause you know, all he does is come in and kind of look everything over, and, yeah.
Which I think they do just as much as that, because I've heard mine say, like, well, what about this? And the dentist is like, oh yeah, you're right. It's like, this. Big. So, it's just like nurses. Doctor makes them make those nurses.
I got to
You go to Dolphin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda worked for him for a while. He's a great dentist.
How many bedside manner?
Linda always, he had to be a top-notch dentist. She worked for a guy one time, I think for maybe 3 days, she came home, she said, no, I'm not going to work. She did not, I just didn't.
Do they come to you and you try to?
You know, his brother, I found this out, our company, his brother owns it. We had the ribbon cutting for the Charger, and he comes out there and he's talking, and he said something like, you know, Bob does something. And I was like, yeah.
It's amazing how people are connected sometimes.
It's very interesting because their parents, you know, came from India. But their children all have, like Bob, have American names. So every one of them. Yeah, yeah. 80th anniversary D-Day.
It is.
Very, very, very important day.
I was reading an article today, there was they had a World War II veteran that went over to go back to Normandy. On his way.
Yeah. Did he have a heart attack or he just died?
He just passed away on the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, wow.
Well, you know, they got Mr. John out here local. Mr. John, he's gonna be 102 this
Was he the
year.
one that all the businesses got together and did
Did the roof,
Did the
yeah.
roof?
Yeah. He's a super.
I met him at Candace's
Yeah.
ceremony.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah, World War II vet, because my father was World War II vet. He passed out. So. That's one
really,
thing that I've read. My dad wanted to go back to USS Wisconsin. That's what he was in the Pacific Theater of Wisconsin. It's a museum now in Norfolk. You know, you can go kind of like they did the USS Aldermen. It actually, they refurbished that ship. It was in Desert Storm. They actually redid that whole ship. Come back out for 7 years. You could still rare. And I think it was 08. Do that. Yeah, we need to do that. Man, do.
I hate the term bucket list, but I would love to go over to Normandy and just see a lot of the World War II.
Yeah.
I would love to. We had some, you know Marty and Kelly, man?
Yes. Yes.
They did that about 2-3 months ago.
I saw that on Facebook.
They hit a lot of the different areas. I'd be like, and Linda looked at me, she's like, you need that up.
Is her cancer fully in remission? Was all that?
Oh, yeah. She's good. She's good.
Staff's ready to
Well, I'm encouraged to see so much staff here.
I know. They all keep migrating to the more.
So what's that big announcement about Elon Musk and the super
Yeah.
computer?
It's already got a name, you know. The mainframe.
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 frame.
I mean,
Probably doesn't get that, you're not on social media.
no, I don't get it. I just thought, okay.
M-A-N-E. Maine.
It's a Memphis term.
John said,
Lane.
I'm still not getting it.
Okay.
It's a Memphis
It's a
thing.
Memphis term.
thing.
They slang it all the time.
You're like, man,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, the fact that Elon picked Memphis, I'm shocked.
I'm wondering,
Right?
I mean,
and this is what we were saying earlier, I wonder if it's supposed to go to like Blue Oval area, and they just, when that building became available, they just wanted to retrofit instead.
because you know, when he was doing probably 2-3 years ago, when he was looking at putting a battery plant somewhere, I was like, yeah, let's get that. And we didn't get it. I just, you know, it's very refreshing to emphasize something good to it.
That's absolutely correct, yes.
Now, I'm surprised by the resources that it's consumed.
You're talking about the
1 million gallons of water
it is.
a day.
Yes.
A day.
I think
It's
so.
all, it's, cause the computer's all water cooled, and it's.
So they recirculate it?
See, that's what I'm thinking. They're talking like they're not going to be able to reuse the water, and I'm thinking
No, it's a
you're just
cooling
running it
thing.
through pipes because that's all it's doing is cooling. I mean, you know,
There will be some.
maybe you treat it.
I was gonna say, there'll be some treatment of it, but they'll be able to reuse probably
Yeah.
80% of it.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, if it's at a recirc, you know, kind of like antifreeze in your car, just keep going back through it.
So, it'll be very interesting.
And we all know, AIs are gonna come to life and kill us.
I'm telling you, Skynet just
It is
showed up,
so-
man.
It's so crazy how everybody's on the wagon. I mean, it's just not everybody, the buzzword. It's just, if you're not doing something with AI, you blow that up bigger.
You said you don't need glasses, come on now.
I can do it. I'll squint, but I'll do it.
Mayor, you want my readers?
Let's say, I gotta.
I think he should be able to just go bing bang and there it is.
Well, I did,
Okay.
but I'm not working with a mouse.
Say big.
Oh, that's true.
Same big.
That's good. Let's see what we got. All right, so total.
Total scores all the way to, right?
Got something.
Make sure you
See
don't
what
pull
you
a,
do now.
don't pull a Steve Harvey.
Yeah, I don't want to do a Steve Harvey. Okay. Yeah, right here at the top. Number 3. Row number 3. Okay.
Row number 3.
All right, again, I would like to say thank you so much for everybody that took time to put your name in. And like Alderman Giannini said, please, don't let your service, if your name's not tonight, don't let that be stop of your public service. There's a lot of places, and we got a lot of things going on. We can try to get you plugged in, helping the town out. That being said, our total score tonight, our top score, and our alderman appointee, that will have to be a motion made at the June 11th meeting, is Alderman Chris Eachie. Welcome aboard, sir. And with that, we're finished.
No public comments, sir.
No public comments, so do I have a motion adjourned from Alderman Pace? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Renfro. All in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'll take David's spot on that one.
Gotta be quick.
I, there's what's quick on the draw over there for that.
So I just didn't.